A Swift Kick in the Ass, episode 67.
All big changes start with a swift kick in the ass. Join the journey of lifelong friends, John Curran and Tom Stewart, as they make conventional thought bend over and take a boot to the keister. Warning, listeners may notice a force equal to or greater than needed to get your ass moving. A swift kick in the ass, living life on your terms.
Welcome, I'm Tom Stewart, and I'm joined with my lifelong childhood friend, John Curran. In today's episode, the pull-out method of positive change.
Oh, yeah.
Like the groovy tunes, John? Little porn music.
I'm digging it.
This is not a porn episode, but that name just had to pull out something. All right. In all seriousness, this is really about taking a break, about taking a vacation. So pulling out, withdrawing from society, and refreshing your mind. How you doing, man?
Are we going to stick with the groovy tunes? Because I can still hear them. All right. We had a little changes interruptus right there. Get it? Instead of coitus interruptus.
Absolutely.
Interruptus. Yeah, today's not about the pull-out method of in sexual terms. It's about the pull-out method for positive change. And, you know, it is the sexual reference and how we are viewing it today with positive change really do have some similarities, because we're talking about a very simple thing that you can do that's going to reinvigorate you on your path to creating positive change in your life. It's not for everybody, certainly not for everybody. But for those of you who have a good knowledge of yourself, are serious about the discipline that you're applying to your lives.
I'm sorry, man. Couldn't help myself.
You're killing me, man. You're killing my groove. You're killing my groove.
We should just play that through the whole episode.
I wasn't ready to pull out just yet. I was still going. So the way it's similar is that you have to have self-knowledge. You have to have serious discipline. And also, it requires lots of practice. And also, being prepared to be caught off guard, like when your co-host starts playing some.
Are we talking about the pull-out method, or are we talking about vacation?
I think we're talking about the pull-out method. I mean, a pull-out method, vacation. It's really taking a step back from your day-to-day grind, and
you're just full of innuendos today.
Oh, and this episode is going to be full of innuendos. It's about giving yourself a break from the progress you've been making, but not putting yourself in danger. You have to be careful where you release yourself, because you might make
this is wrong.
You might make matters worse if you're trying to if you're not at the point of no return, and you pull out prematurely, like say you're just trying to get started with positive change in your life, or you're not really in the right mindset in regards to making progress and following through with your plans, you could really set yourself back in a lot of ways. And we don't want to do that. It could be messy.
But in all seriousness, this could apply to either taking a vacation. This could apply to doing a cheat day if you're on a diet, right? Many times, if you're too strict on something, you end up just putting it aside. But if you have a day where you can kick back and do whatever, it frees you. It allows you to renew yourself, renew your mind, renew your body. I was especially bringing up this topic with John mainly because about time off. We've both been working really hard, and my schedule's been crazy and doesn't jive with John, so we haven't been putting out as many podcasts. But it's not that we don't love doing podcasts, but I also, after working a lot, I need to take some breaks and spend it with my family, because there's nothing like family and getting out and renewing yourself, going into nature. I went camping, John. I went up to what's called Kelly Springs in Florida. So it's just north of Orlando, and it was beautiful. The water's probably about 65, 70 degrees. It's from a natural flowing spring. And they have this little canal that runs down. They have lifeguards and stuff. It's watched, but it's a natural canal. There's obviously some man-made parts to it, because they have like a little pool area that has steps that you can go into the water. But basically, you're climbing onto rocks. Everyone rents inner tubes or has their own inner tube, and floats down this little stream. And they're propelled by the springs. It's nothing. It's not Disney. It's not Universal Studios. It's nothing. It's
natural,
not
Tom.
It's natural.
And kind of a natural flow.
So you have the weeds on the side of you. You have alligators that sometimes get in there. There's turtles. You see little turtles swimming by you. The alligators kind of stay to the sides. That's what I hear is they might be, if they're in there, sometimes they're over in the brush. So if you get off track and you start going off the side of the stream, I was like, hey, hold on, let me get out of here. But it was fun. It was a great time. It's refreshing. The crystal clear water. You could see straight to the bottom. And someone could see the turtles swimming underneath me. You're in an inner tube. You're going down, and all of a sudden I see a crane. A big bird. He's probably about 4 feet tall. It's just awesome. And you hear I said this to my son Hunter. I was like, what's refreshing about being here is you're out of the city. You hear crickets. You hear wildlife. You hear birds. You look up in the sky. You see stars. And that does something to your psyche. Well, I know when I'm at work and I do a 12-hour shift and I'm inside a building, sometimes I just have to get out. It's not healthy. I really don't think that's how humans were intended to live. So getting out and getting back in touch with wildlife and being out in nature, it's beautiful. It opens up your mind, rejuvenates your body, and there's a lot of beneficial aspects that happen with your body. Like researchers say that your cholesterol drops when you go on vacation or you're out in nature like that. It's healthier on heart disease. So if you ever have a boss or someone that you're afraid, and I've been guilty of this. And sometimes, how many times have you had at the end of the year and you haven't used up your vacation and you lose vacation? Don't do that. Don't try to save the company. Don't try to be the hero. Take the time that you need, because you actually become a more productive worker if you take vacation. So you have time off, you come back invigorated and ready to tackle new challenges. And you're really only hurting yourself. You're not helping the company by not taking those days. And don't take a working vacation. That's the other thing. I know many people, and I've seen where I'd go out with my wife and she'd go, okay, I'll go, but I got to do some work. And that's the worst thing. How are you going to stop and try to type on a tablet or a laptop in the middle of the campground? It doesn't work. So you just have to disconnect, forget about phones, forget about Facebook, forget about what's going on social media. Just totally disconnect and get out and get in touch with something other than being inside and your daily grind.
Yeah, Tom, you make a good point. I think it is important to disconnect. And if you notice out there in social media, a lot of times people will tout, they'll show this picture of a person sitting on a beach, in a nice lounge chair, sitting under a palm tree, and they're working on their laptop. And that is, and then touting that as living life on your own terms. And I don't necessarily have anything against, being out on the beach, but has anyone really tried to do that type of work out on the beach, to bring a laptop out on the beach? You're going to destroy your laptop, first of all. And second of all, you're not really going to get anything done.
Here's the other thing, John. Yeah. I was at the beach today. I just got back. Went swimming, had fun with the kids and my wife and family and friends. And she was trying to look at her phone, and you can't see it. The sun is too bright. So if you have a laptop on there, you're not going to get any work done because you can't see it.
But what you said, Tom, really resonates with me, is that you need to mentally disconnect. and that's important. Sometimes we're so close to a problem that we can't see the forest through the trees, and we can't see a way out because we're so close to it. Oftentimes you have to take a step back and disconnect yourself from that and kind of change your perspective. And that when you do, you see things in entirely new light. Like in one of the most recent episodes, we're talking about how I went to an allergist and had found out that I was sensitive to a lot of different foods. And my doctor recommended that I withdraw. I pull out from all those different foods. Stop eating those foods that I'm sensitive to. For she said 4 days is all that you need. I did it for quite a bit longer because I wanted to make sure that I could feel the difference. And she said, after you withdraw and eliminate those foods from your diet, then start adding them back in one at a time and see if you can tell a difference, because your sensitivities are very slight, and that's the test might be wrong. So
Would that be considered the rhythm method for diagnosing your food allergies?
It could be. I mean, the pull-out method does require self-knowledge. It requires you to be in tune with yourself and your feelings
and your cycle.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking from a man's point of view, but yeah, where you are in your gearing, so to speak. You don't want to pull out too quick. You don't want to pull out too late, because that's when accidents happen. And this is the pull-out method. As far as sex is concerned, it is the oldest method of contraception, and according to Planned Parenthood, it is about 96% accurate for people who correctly
Who want a lot of kids.
Well, no, who correctly use the method. But if you don't use the method or correctly, then it drops down to 73%. So and it doesn't protect you from any sexually transmitted diseases. But
I always remember in health class when I was 16 years old, and my instructor said, "It's just like a basketball player. You dribble before you shoot." Yeah, so that's why it's dangerous.
Right. So it's all about knowing yourself. And if you have the discipline to, not follow through when you're at that point, and that does take lots of practice. So it's the way you apply this methodology is going to determine your effectiveness, and that's true in the SAC. It's also true in life. We're not, if you're in the midst of something that it would be to your detriment to just pull back from, we're not saying do that. This method is not for everyone, but at the right time in the right place, it's a great way to take a step back from things. Not only reassess what's really going on in your life, because I think sometimes when you take a step back, it does put a new spin or a new perspective on life. Like Tom was saying in his camping trip, just enjoying the outdoors, it reduces your stress. There's changes to your body, very good things that happen from it. If you are trying to get pregnant, they say that going on vacation is the best way for that to happen, because you're away from the day in and day out grind, and you're in this new situation to where you can really relax, and that has a positive effect on on getting pregnant if you want to do that.
Now let me touch real quickly on the new perspective.
Sure.
Our brains are like a computer. We're similar the way they operate. And how many times does this happen, John, when you have a problem and you need to step back away from it and maybe even go home, you're sleeping, and I've had this, I've solved problems in my sleep, in my dreams, or in the shower. All of a sudden it comes to you. The same thing like when you take a vacation or a break. something that you might have been perplexed about or working on, your brain is still working in the background, like running processes, trying to figure out the solution to it. Almost like when you meet someone and you can't remember their name, and it's like churning, and you're going through the files, or when you're talking and you're having a conversation and you forget what you're going to say, and your mind keeps on thinking, like you can almost grasp it. And you're like, I was going to say something, I can't remember. And you're sitting there and searching. All of a sudden, boom, it pops in. And you go, oh, I remember what I was going to tell you.
And
same thing happens
when you're sitting on the can,
right?
Or in the shower.
And how troubling that is when that happens and you have something to say and then you forget it. It perplexes you. It drives you crazy. Or like, it's almost like when you're ready to sneeze and you can't. It's that same pressure. Like, I need to figure out what I was going to say. Well, that's what having a break and taking some time off allows you to do for your mind. It kind of gets out and lets those processes filter out the things that you're worried about or thinking about, or maybe some ideas that you're working on, or it creates imagination. It stimulates your imagination so you can come up with new ideas or new ways of doing things. It's really healthy, really, really healthy for you.
Yeah, if you are a very driven person, if you have a type A personality, to whereas you're just like go, 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 and I'm that way, and I can relate to that. And in my work, what I do, I've done a lot of analysis type of work, and looking at data and kind of crunching numbers and developing strategies and so forth. And when your work is driven by a problem, you want to solve that problem, and you're driven to just do whatever it takes to figure it out and to work towards that goal. But sometimes you have to just say, you know what, I'm spinning my wheels here, and I need to kind of take a step back. If I'm doing some type of analysis work, I know I need to take a break. I'll go and I'll get up. I'll take a walk around the block. I'll take 15 minutes to kind of just do something to take my mind off of that problem. And it's just amazing to me when you come back and you sit down and you try to gather your thoughts again. Oftentimes the problem was right there in front of you all the time, and you come back and you solve your problem almost immediately because you allowed yourself that time to kind of disconnect and let your unconscious processes keep going, and keep solving that problem. So you're really not thinking about it, but your mind is still working on that problem, whether you realize it or not. That's why, and I know I mentioned this probably not very often in our show, but that's why it's important to, if you have certain goals, if you write them down and then just tuck them away, put them in a dresser drawer or a desk drawer, someplace that you don't look very often, put a date on that piece of paper as when you wrote it. The next time you find that piece of paper, it might be a year down the road, you're just going to be amazed at what you accomplished without really even giving it much thought or effort. Because when you put that pen to paper, you're actually making your goals tangible. You're making them something you can hold on to, and your mind sees that and recognizes that as something tangible. So it starts directing you in ways that you need to go to reach those goals. Write down 10 things today, 10 things you want to accomplish. Put a date on it, tuck that note away, and come back a year from now and tell me if you haven't reached at least half of those goals will be marked off. You'll be able to cross them off your list without really even much thought or effort. That's the way our mind works.
You just have to remember where you hit it.
Yeah, that's true. Or, actually, I think it's good if you forget where you hit it, take your mind off of that list and just let your unconscious mind kind of do it for you.
There's programs that you can, I remember one where you could email yourself in the future, and you tell it when you want to email. It could be a month, it could be 2 months, it could be 5 years from now, and you send yourself an email. I think it's a great way to show where you were. It's almost like a time
Yeah.
capsule. And all of a sudden you might forget about it. And all of a sudden this email
Yeah.
comes in from yourself, which kind of throws you off.
I mean, Tom, have you ever written like a letter to somebody, or maybe just, wrote out your thoughts and didn't send the letter off, didn't, share it with anyone, you just kind of tucked it away, and then you find that piece of paper a year or two down the road, and you read it, and your mindset is totally different, and you can see, it kind of takes you back to where you were mentally, and what you were thinking at that time, and it makes you better able to realize how much progress you've made.
I have found notes like that, not necessarily that I was writing to myself. I've found things that I've jotted down, and I have to look at it and re-examine it and say, did I write this? It looks like my handwriting. Did I really write that? Was that what I was thinking?
Yeah, for me, my handwriting is just like my sister's. So I'm like, did I write that, or is that my sister's handwriting? looks kind of the same way. But
So
it does offer perspective, and life changes without us really even being consciously aware of it. Life can change, and it isn't until you take a step back and you look at something that you wrote a long time ago that you can have some sort of measure to see how much life has changed. I think too that, as far as the pull-out method is concerned, taking a step back, going on that trip with the kids, the camping trip with the kids, going for a swim in the ocean, just taking the afternoon off from work, and without anything in mind, I think that can remind you also of why you're working so hard, and what goals you're trying to accomplish, and the importance of that, because motivation only drives you so hard. I mean, it only drives you so far, and it can wax and wane. So it's important to remind yourself of why you're doing things, and that's going to help you get through the hard times.
Well, they say taking vacations actually makes your family closer, John, because you're creating shared memories rather than individual memories of different things. You're together, and it helps form a great bond. Here's a good quote for you. It's take vacations, go as many places as you can. You can always make money. You can't always make memories. And that's so true. We can't at the last minute look back and try to, our children are only young once. If you don't have children, it's, use someone else's kids. I'm only kidding.
We're only young once.
Right. We're only young once. And it's a matter of fostering those relationships with your friends and your family and the people around you, and making new friendships. I mean, many times when we go camping, we meet new people that we've never met before, and you have good conversations, and you just find out a different take on life and maybe another way to enjoy life.
Yeah. Even the military recognizes the need to pull out, not necessarily for purposes of retreat, from the battlefield, but they recognize that being in battle, being in combat, it takes its toll on people, mentally and physically, and that soldiers also need a break. And there's a term in the military called stand down. And what that is it's the military creating a secure base camp away from the fighting that they can bring their fighting men and women to for purposes of rest and relaxation. Maybe it's taking care of personal hygiene, or getting a haircut or a hot shower, and getting a hot meal in your belly, as compared to, the rations that you have out in the battlegrounds.
Get some dry socks so you don't get trench foot.
Yeah, when I worked for the VA, we did that. We did a stand down for our homeless veterans, and we kind of went around in a 3-state area and gathered homeless veterans and brought them all together to this one location where we had barbers, and we had hot meals, and we had clothing and camping equipment and such that they could take back with them. And it was really to also hook them up to benefits that they were eligible for. To, if they were interested in getting an apartment, coming off of the streets, they could most likely get some help that they needed, but they wouldn't have had that opportunity if they were just out there, living that life, coming in and taking a retreat from day in and day out activities is good. My work recently changed the paid time off policy, and I had a lot of time off built up because I'm always working and I don't take a lot of time off, but I've been forced to do that. So recently I've been, taking a day off in the middle of the week or on Thursday, or taking an extra long holiday, extra long weekend. And I can't tell you what that has done for me. It's just been great. It gives me more time to spend with my family. I've been taking my kids out fishing more often, just taking advantage of the summer. And, I recommend it. You don't really recognize how important time off is until you take it.
I'm doing that tomorrow. I'm taking the kids to Rapids Water Park, and that's a big themed water park here. And originally it was just going to be my wife and my kids. And because I worked on Mondays, and I was like, well, I'm not going to get this chance again. The summer is almost over. Let me take this day off. No one's going to miss me. And it will mean so much to my son and daughter to have the entire family together. Because, it's fun going with one parent, but it's still not the same as when you have both there that are contributing and having fun.
Yeah, we went, my family
and that's no disrespect to single parents at all. I'm just saying that my parent, my kids, I'm part of the dynamic unit right now. So for me not to be there would upset them.
So yesterday, my family and I went to another family's house for brunch, and it was made up of people. The whole reason why everyone got together was to get our kids together, kids that were all in preschool and now they're going into kindergarten. So it was kind of gather the kids and the parents. So it was really nice. It was a good time. But it was during that brunch that I found out that there was an Eagles tribute band coming in concert that night, and we had seen my family had gone to see them in concert, and the kids just absolutely loved it. And even though it was 2 years ago, they talk about it all the time. They have their poster up in their room. The group is called Hotel California, and they sound exactly like the Eagles. In fact, like the drummer, is he sings and he kind of looks like Don Henley. And it was like, it sounds just like them. Great group. But, that was a spontaneous thing. We found out that the concert was that night, and another family they wanted to go too, and they brought their kids, and we went, like we had an hour and a half notice of going. And even though it rained and there was thunderstorms and they kind of had to stop the show midway and everyone take shelter, we were drenched, but we stayed the whole night and everyone had a great time. And my little girl, my 10-year-old, told me, she said, "Daddy, thank you so much. I love you." And she was dragging me up to the front of the stage to watch the musicians play. And, you just can't put a dollar amount on that.
Think back of our relationship, John, from when we were kids and we took trips with my parents to Disney World, right? And,
right.
We those are memorable times that we remember flipping over in a car together and surviving.
You never forget of when your car rolls over 4 times.
Yes, we had. My dad had just bought a trailer, and he had a Cadillac, and we were driving up to the mountains, and John and I were we were incessant. We wanted to ride in the back of the trailer, but my dad was like, "No, I'm not letting you back there. It's not legal." And me and John were like, "Oh man, we can hang out back there. We can turn the air conditioner on, turn the TV on, wave and moon people out the windows. It would be fun." And my dad said, no, your guys aren't going to stay there. So, we begrudgingly stayed, laid in the back seat. John was, I remember, laying on the floor. You put like 2 pillows down to kind of like even out the hump that's in the middle of where the axle is. And you were laying there and I was laying on the back seat. And all of a sudden I hear my dad go, "Sweet Jesus." And the
Well, it started the fishtail.
Yeah, the sway bars had popped off the trailer. Yeah, so we started fishtailing all over. I mean, and the trailer was in control. We hit some crosswinds by Gainesville, somewhere in Florida, and we went down to the ditch, proceeded to flip over, and when we finally escaped out of the car, the trailer was demolished. There was nothing left but the flatbed. We would have been dead. Absolutely. Me and John would no longer be here to have a swift kick in the ass. And my father was so thankful that he did not give in, because he said he was within a hair of giving in to us and letting us go back there. We'd be dead. There's no way we would have survived that. And then I felt guilty because, remember, John, we were just starting to work out. And I asked my dad, I said, can I bring some weights? No, there has to be a certain weight load. So we snuck a curl bar and 100 pounds of weights and hid it in like one of those little compartments under the kitchen table in the trailer, thinking, we'll be able to get pumped up and meet some chicks when we're in their mountains. And
mountain chicks
drinking some Mountain Dew and and then, it's just I felt really, I thought that was my fault, but thank God that we didn't stay there. But also, what I was going to say is when I was with your parents, I can remember going to many parties, all of these Irish parties and American Legion, and these things as times away that we would spend together, and it formed that bond. And look, it's a bond that's lasted 45, 6 years, however long it is now.
Yeah, I don't think we need to. It's in the 40 years mark, somewhere around 45 years.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna
making me feel old.
I'm gonna go to some ancient wisdom here now, John. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go to the Tao Te Ching. I've done this before, and this is on the topic we're talking about. It's verse 71, healing the mind. Academia confuses knowledge with knowing. Most everyone applauds. Wow, that's loud.
Yeah, and you're laughing. I mean, this is serious stuff, man.
It applauds the memorization of 10,000 trivia. So they're saying people think it's so great to know so many facts, right? Beware, these schooled addictions are not just myths, but they're a form of mental illness. So they think it's bad to take too much pride in knowing a lot of knowledge or a lot of useless facts. So don't study your trivia.
So if you're good at trivia, is that bad?
Yeah. According to them, any fragment of the mind.
I think you went to turn it down. I think you turned it up.
That's just on your end. You hear a different feed than them. Okay. Any fragment of the mind divorced from the heart, spirit, and human community, and from the primal reality of the universe, is an abomination of the great integrity. Let us prepare for the great integrity by cleansing ourselves of all these cobwebs of cluttered fragments that paralyze the mind. In this way, we will function as our own holistic physicians. So all of you that like to practice ancient Eastern wisdom, there you go. That's straight from the Tao Te Ching.
Well, I have a slightly less verbose quote here to say, and we could. It's just it's 3 sentences, and it's a quote by Samuel Ullman. Nobody grows old merely by living a number of years. We grow old by deserting our ideals. Years may wrinkle the skin, but to give up enthusiasm wrinkles the soul. I think that's some pretty deep stuff right there. Wrinkling the soul. So I guess, as we're trying to wrap up the pull-out method of positive change.
If you wrap it, you don't have to pull out, man.
The benefits of this method are that they're safe, simple, and it's convenient. You can apply this method to your everyday life. It doesn't necessarily cost money. You don't have to buy some book or video or take some course in order to learn the pull-out method. You have to know yourself. You have to be disciplined enough to know when is good to pull out and when it's not to, and you also have to be practiced at doing this. So maybe start small by taking an afternoon off, and then work your way up to a weekend, and then it you could do it in different ways. It's not right for everyone, and just remember that the biggest risk here is not using this method correctly. If you don't have self-control, if you don't have the experience, if you don't trust yourself, then stay on track and keep your head down and keep moving forward. Also, one thing that we didn't mention is that you should be able to have a predictable impact of pulling out. If you're just going away for the weekend, that you can come, and it's not going to cost you anything. That there's a predictable impact. You're going to come back Monday. You're going to be refreshed, and such. But if you go out and do something like say you have some financial goals you're trying to meet, and instead of continuing to stay on track, you deviate and you go on this weekend spending spree, that's not necessarily a predictable impact. You can get yourself into a lot more trouble. You can dig yourself a bigger hole, and you can actually move yourself backwards. We're not talking about moving backwards with the pull-out method. We're talking about staying on course, but cutting yourself some slack. I'm still doing my push-ups. I do it just about every day. I've started to incorporate other body weight exercises into my routine. But, like yesterday, I thought about it, and I thought I didn't do really any push-ups, but I was dancing with my daughter and jumping up and down and just acting like a maniac and just having a blast, holding my kids, swinging them around. So I wasn't sitting still, but I can't be too hard on myself for not doing my push-ups. Big deal.
John, you just hit on a key movement. When you're on vacation or retreat or time away, people tend to move more. So there's a lot more movement because you're not sitting down in front of a TV. You're not sitting in front of a screen. You're moving around and you're active, which is healthy for you. It's one of the benefits physically of taking some time off. So that's a great observation.
If you're trying to lose weight or get into better shape, the pull-out method could actually be the distraction that you need that's going to actually help you move closer to your goal. Say, for instance, if you are trying to lose weight and get in better shape, and you go on a hike, you're going to be out there in nature, with Tom, looking at the turtles and the alligators and for me, the deer and the rabbits. And
I did see deer. I saw some white-tailed deer. I even approached them. So I was able to snap a picture. They didn't run away. They jumped a little bit when I got a little bit too close, but that was pretty cool. And evidently there was brown bears in that area as well, because
don't approach them.
All the garbage containers had electric fences around it. I was like, my God. Because they actually, the park ranger, I had to throw away my tent. My tent was messed up. I said, where can I throw this away? And he goes, go to the fire station across the street. They have a dumpster. Well, good thing I did the right thing and asked if was allowed to throw it away there. He goes, sure. Let us just discharge the electric fence. I thought they were kidding. And I went back there, and sure enough, they had these wires all over that were being charged. And they said they need to do that to keep the bears from getting into the dumpsters.
You would have been extra crispy.
Yeah.
But, when you go out and, like Tom said, you're out and you're moving around and you're exercising, you're enjoying nature. You're not really thinking about it, but you are exercising and you are sweating, and maybe you're not even eating a lot, as much as you would if you're just sitting around watching TV and snacking. And a lot of people will go out and do these type of things and find out that they've lost weight in the process. So, they weren't necessarily, didn't have that goal in mind. That was not the primary objective of going out camping or going for a hike. It was for some other reason. It was to spend time with your family. It was to It was to be out in the fresh air, to enjoy nature.
I tell you, I jumped inside the stream to meet my family halfway. I ran to the bathroom and says, I'll catch up to you guys. So I jumped in, I ran in halfway and knew that they would still be coming down towards me. So I started proceeding by walking up the current. And when I was done, I later on, I was like, man, I feel like I did a bunch of squats. Why are my legs so tired? And I realized it was from walking upstream. I was walking against the current and it was like really strong.
Yeah, I took my John boat out, and I hadn't really used the motor all that much. I've been using other boats that I have, so I'm just trying to get this all the kinks worked out of this boat that I have. But it wasn't working, and I decided to do a little paddling. So and I was doing that with going against the current, and man, I'm telling you, that was rough. I mean, I could feel it the next day. But my kids, they're just on the front and they're having a great time, and I'm like trying to paddle this 12-foot John boat.
Yeah, that's hard work.
It was hard work, but you know what? That's fun, and it was a great time. And again, I can't put a price on spending time with my kids. It's time well spent for me. So again, the pull-out method, it's not for everyone, but it can be very effective. It's simple, it's convenient, it's safe, as long as you are with your same partner and you trust them, and you're not trying to avoid some type of disease.
All right. On that note, I think it's time to wrap up. I'm Tom Stewart, joined with John Curran. Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out swiftkickinatheass.com. Sign up for our free membership site. It has a bunch of goodies in there, including John's simple spending plan. Get your life on track after you take a break. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Thanks for listening. Peace.